All right, well, I was able to go check on our hives and in our baby bee yard. They're all doing great that we added the second brood boxes to. The one that I had to steal a couple frames from to support another hive so they could requeen, that one's picking right up too. And so I was able to add a second brood box, take away all the sugar waters. And so that's what I did today. I left the one that we're requeening alone. They need their space and just safety, security without interruptions to continue to work to build that queen. So during the last live video, I got a lot of questions about like, why, how do you not wear gloves? Don't you get stung? And so I thought this might be as good a time as ever to talk about some of those things. And so first I want to say I've definitely been stung. In fact, one time I was stung, I think it was like 28 times. And the funny thing was I was actually wearing a suit when that happened. And so I do suit up sometimes. It's not that I'm always gloveless or tank tops or long sleeves. It just depends on a lot of different things. I like to say is either biological or environmental that's going on out at the hive. And so, the time that I got stung so many times, I was trying to relocate a kind of a feral colony that was inside of a house. It had been in a cabin out in Elkis Ranch in California. We tried to relocate it and, those bees were very aggressive. I don't know what strain variety, but they certainly were dive bombing me. I will never forget that. Now I was able to walk away from it. I did, have some swelling, but it wasn't, I don't have the same allergic reaction that some people do to bees as well too. So that helps for one thing. But, oftentimes I try to go gloveless, for quite a few reasons. I learned fairly early on from my mentors and noticed it myself that when I, didn't wear gloves, it made me slow down even more so to really pay attention and be aware of what I was doing because I'm working in cooperation with a live being with all of these bees. And so if I'm wearing gloves, it may give me a false sense of security that I don't have to pay attention, that I act quickly and aggressively, and that may harm the bees, which then makes them, more alert, release pheromones that they are being attacked. And, that may cause the guards to try to protect and do what they were made to do, which is to protect and preserve the whole community and colony of the bees. And so getting rid of the gloves makes me more vulnerable right away, because I do get stung and it does hurt, and there could be severe reactions to that. And so no gloves makes me be more thoughtful and mindful about what I'm doing. It doesn't allow me to, as Mia Birdsong said, it doesn't allow me to think about my to-do list or, what I'm cooking for dinner or any arguments that I've had. It makes me be right there, right in the moment, completely paying attention to the bees and making sure I'm doing what I need to do. And so that's a little bit about the method. There's things about timing when you go into the hive too. I try to either go in the morning like today or later on in the evening at the end of the day after the bees have foraged or before they've gotten started. I try not to interrupt them in the middle of their foraging behavior. That can be really disturbing to the hive as well. So timing is important. There's other things to be aware of too. If the hive is hungry, which means there's not a lot of nectar out in the field, or if there are other predators and wasps and dangers around, that puts them on high alert as well. Things like wasps, or even small mammals, or other things that may show aggression, they will try to protect themselves. And so I need to be very aware of what's happening in their vicinity to make sure that I'm approaching them in the right way too. I don't want to also expose them to other harms, like if there's mowers going on and there's a lot of CO2 or noises, that makes them very alert. They feel endangered. and, you know, temperatures. We don't want to expose them to a lot of cold. So we make sure that we're not opening up a hive during that time as well too. And so really it's a two-way collaboration. Smoke, that's the other big question that I get about smoke. And so smoke certainly supports my efforts too. So the first thing is awareness, and, you know, trying to be very mindful about and responsive to what the bees need, so we can really be allies working together to help them support us. But the other tool is smoke, and so this is kind of more along their evolutionary behavior pieces, where, you know, when I smoke a hive, it may simulate, you know, maybe a fire that could be in the forest. A lot of bees kind of evolved and believed to be in hollowed out trees or other structures such as that to provide shelter. And so occasionally when a forest fire may happen, just like humans, we kind of go low, we move downward to get away from the smoke. And so bees will kind of do the same thing. They'll move lower. So that way they're away from my hands and tools so I don't squash them. And the other thing is bees have this amazing suite of pheromones that helps to signal to the community, you know, different responses to get the needs of the colony met. And one of those is an alarm pheromone. So the smoke also will dampen that, so the bees, you know, if one does release the alarm, the others will not quickly get agitated right away and do that. Now, if you're not being careful with what you're doing, doesn't matter how much smoke you use, the bees will respond. And so it's almost in a way as like knocking on the door and saying, okay, I come in peace. We are going to work together through this. And then it's your job, being the beekeeper, to be very gentle, very thoughtful, and aware of what's happening so you can work the hive the best way that you can. So anyway, that's a little bit about, you know, being gloveless and stings and smoke. So again, I do get stung even when all things are great. It's part of it, and the important thing is how you respond to it. And so if I get stung and I act crazy and go flailing about with my arms and screaming, the bees are likely to come at me again. And so again, it's just, if I get stung, it's being able to take it, feel it, but not be super reactive to it, so that I can continue to be focused on the effort to support the bees and be their ally, and not be hyper reactive to it. So beekeeping, I think it's a good practice, and mindfulness, a lot of tools that I learned from that definitely can transfer over in life and to all of us. So anyway, hope that's interesting for you guys. Thank you.